Hey folks, my name is Pravus. Welcome back to more Whiskerwood with Hickory Dickory Dock. We are, unfortunately, very bottlenecked on a very key resource right now, and that is going to be tin. We need tin in order to make bronze. I need bronze in order to continue doing research. And then we can move on into research tier 3, try to get some of these endgame resources and structures up and running, and just kind of end on a strong note. Though, if I'm completely honest, there is a chance that by the time I'm done recording this episode, I'm simply going to decide that the series is about done. It's hard for me to say for sure, leaving the possibility that I'm going to change my mind once we get to the next tier, but I've done a little bit of reading, and it certainly seems that there is not really a proper endgame to this quite yet. Not in the early access. There probably will be later, though. Because in the trailer for this game some time ago, we were able to see things like warships being constructed, and I suspect that's going to synergize with something that currently feels kind of useless, which is canning. But sea travel is specifically called out here. So I have to think that at some point that's going to get added into the game, and maybe then there's going to be a way of defending yourself against pirates, against cats, and declare proper independence in your own archipelago. That would be pretty cool, but if it doesn't exist right now, then all we're doing is just expanding for the sake of expanding to get more taxes to say we did things. And I'm okay with that, but I don't know. I feel like that's less engaging content for me to make, less engaging content for you to watch, so I'm wary of it. I'm wary, but again, I'm going to leave myself open to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, some cool stuff is going to show up. Now, as of like the last video and stuff, we did try a lot of other cool stuff as far as increasing our various infrastructures. So we've got ourselves some passenger trains, effectively, various different rail stations, a little bit of, like, carts and conveyor belts. I don't really see a ton of use in it, but I mean, in certain circumstances, yeah, it might be fine. And actually, you know, before I forget, I should bring up that the developer did add a couple of new things into the game, but some stuff that we really were asking for was like, hey, can we have some bigger warehouses? Well, wish granted, we now have large and giant warehouses available in the game to store a ridiculous amount of resources. In fact, the giant warehouse literally says, capable of storing nearly limitless resources. So at some point, logistics like that cease to be an issue, and that's going to be pretty nice for us. Not at this point, I would say, the highest of priorities, but since we have had storage issues so much, it's something I'm certainly glad to see added into the game. It just comes a little bit late. Anyway, not a whole lot more we can do at the moment until we get ourselves some bronze. So if you guys wouldn't mind expanding deeper and deeper into the mines, that would be great. Since tin has been a major issue for us, I guess one thing we could do is try expanding over to this island here. There's some rock salt and some tin sort of sitting around. I'm guessing it's a fairly fertile area. Well, I say fertile, that's the wrong word, but a rich area for tin is my guess, if you kept digging into the ground. Maybe, and since we discovered in the last video, it's really not that hard to set up a mining outpost on different islands thanks to these passenger rails. That might not even be a bad option for me at this point. I will say, as convenient as it is to be able to instantly place down a new little train line over here, it does feel a little anticlimactic. You know, just like, oh, you know what, I want to go to this island, pause the game, boom, it just suddenly appears out of nowhere. It's like I'm some sort of a god, which is fine, but, I mean, you get the idea. It feels like it should take a little bit more effort, a little bit more, I don't know, challenge to get gratification for having these little rail networks. Maybe that's just me, though. One big problem I'm having is we are apparently burning through our fuel incredibly quickly. Okay, what the heck has happened there? We should still have this active. Missing inputs? What are we missing? Are we out of coal? No. We're out of piped water. Oh. Right, that happened. Okay, doesn't happen often, but every once in a while we do in fact run out of water, and I've got to keep an eye on that. Whoops. Hello again, Mr. Smuggler. It is good to see you. I have many things to offer. 11 more gold bullion for me. I mean, I don't know. This just kind of feels like the loop of the game right now, though. Make lots of things. Sell for gold. Give gold to cats. Sometimes pay little tax. Sometimes pay much tax. And it's like, is this really the loop that y'all want me to have at this point? Anyway, here's your meager shipment. Enjoy, stupid felines. I wish there were other things that I could do in this game, you know? Like, for example, it still takes too long to mine things. I'd like to be able to start producing some tools that will make us more effective at doing our jobs, so eventually my very strong mice just have like one really good swing at a rock and it just cracks under the pressure. That would be great. But for some reason, that doesn't exist. Like, I see a lot of opportunity for more things to be added into this game, I guess is what I'm saying. Is this a fun game in its current state? Yeah, I think so. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I think it's actually really cute and well developed. But I see where it could be better. I see the foundation that exists for something grand. And I just hope it doesn't take too long to get to that point. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, weren't we going to go ahead and start smelting ourselves up some gold? Did I forget to do that in the last video? It has been a while since my last recording session. Maybe I did, maybe I did not. Change recipe gold ore. We did not set up another furnace. I'm about positive. Let's fix that. No, wait, I did set up another one. I'm sorry. It's up over meow. It's just set to copper. Right. Set it to gold. Make money. Literally. Print it. I am watching issues where more and more of my mice are not making it home at the end of the night. Which again tells me I have not just resource logistic issues, I'm having personnel logistic issues. The public infrastructure can only do so much. I mean, it's not like I can have multiple trains on the same track. Ah, the pirates came out of nowhere. That's what they do. Arg, surprise! I literally have 244 machinery. Frick off. Tea cultivation technology is done. Nice. So now I can start making my mice a lot happier. At least such is the thought. Let's go ahead and place down another farm out here somewhere. What kind of fertility am I looking at here? Oh, okay. It's apparently very difficult to grow tea. Any sort of clue in the research that maybe I missed? Demands fertilizer. Yeah. Okay, well, if that's the case, let's start working on some potash fertilizer, and that's going to make it possible. Right, so tea really is going to be kind of a semi-endgame happiness approval generator. And that's kind of another problem with the progression in the game, is just like, you need a lot of things that are interworking with each other, which is fine. I don't have an objection to that, except that it just takes a long time to do research. Like, I feel like research either needs to be faster or it needs to cost less resources, but not both. That may be a personal enjoyment thing, but keep in mind I'm still playing the game at like a 15 times speed mod. So, I mean, like, yeah, if it's gonna take this long to do research, at least don't make it cost me a huge chunk of my economy, yo. Like, am I being unfair here? I'm just trying to brainstorm, like, what would it take for me to really feel like I want to stay invested in this game? Because it's not like I'm not invested now, it's just like, it could be better. Because I'm hitting a point where I feel like it's starting to kind of, you know, run its course. But I know that there's more to do. So what would it take? It's so close. Yeah, my big bottleneck continues just to be bronze. I've even got some tin. It's just not enough, man. And I literally don't even think I'm using bronze for anything. I'm pretty sure I'm literally only using it for research, and that's how rapidly we're running out. Not what I expected to be the main bottleneck of the game, but there you go. All right, new recipe at the sifting tower. We can start making fertilizer using potash. I got plenty of fuel at the moment. I don't feel like we need to build another one of these right now. Let's just go ahead and swap around the recipe for a bit. Except the stupid output is full again! Oh my god. All right, cancel that. Just take it wherever you can. All right, find somewhere to drop it off. I don't even care where anymore. All right, we have our fertilizer up and running. Let's go ahead and get myself some tea. Let's make sure we authorize the use of fertilizer, and it's the only place I plan on using it, at least for now. So I do have a storage shed set up nearby with the logistics setup saying, hey, bring over the fertilizer, please. That should be enough to keep this going for at least a bit. I'm not sure how rapidly we're going to go through it, but we'll find out. Should we consider making a blacksmith so I can get myself some iron pots? Probably. If I had any idea what that did, it would be much more enticing. I think we have to go for the tea roaster. Yeah, I can produce a lot of tea leaves. But there's nothing I can do with it until we get that tea roaster up and running, so let's just go ahead and do that. We have 70 bronze bars for once, so like, I don't know, maybe we can actually get through some technology in a reasonable amount of time? Ha ha ha! I laugh because I know it's not true. Why does it feel like no one's trying to do anything here with the tea? Okay, field priority for this farm. Please work here. And actually, now that I think about it, your positioning is terrible because the radius doesn't get what I want. Okay, hang on. We'll just relocate this. Let's try resetting over here. This doesn't feel right. There we go. Now they're grabbing fertilizer. For some reason, they just decided tea is too much effort. Dum-dums, please go forth and get me tea. Speaking of tea, we have tea roasters now, which apparently requires an educated pop. Oh. Well, tell you what, we're gonna try doing a little bit of conveyor belt shenanigans over here. That way, if I can just harvest all of my tea, I don't have to walk very far. I can just get moved over here, and the roastery can be in this area. Okay, tea roaster, assign, good. Of course, for some reason, this generates pollution. It's because we use any fuel. Use any fuel at all, and everything around it goes up in smoke. What else do I want to research? Let's go ahead and find out about those blacksmiths. Though I'd like to know, what actually requires a pot? Have we found anything that requires that? I'm honestly unsure if I have. I think that maybe... Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not worth getting this yet, and that is something that will be used for a fine kitchen later on. It would just feel weird if you could produce this now when you couldn't do anything with it. Maybe it's used for the oil press or the apothecary. That could actually be as well. Well, if that's the case, then I don't really see the point in doing this right now at all. Yeah, I don't think I need to do this. Not yet. Instead, let's go ahead and start working on research tier 3. Just so I can say that I did. Okay, what is going on over here? All of a sudden, I'm having a bunch of people starting to get very, very sick. This is leading me to believe that some people, for whatever reason, are not getting out of the cold fast enough, so they're being delayed either out over here or traveling around this area. We're going to pay attention to that. Obviously, I don't want to get so bogged down that my people start dying. Some of them are hungry as well, too. So somebody's not at all finding the way home. What is preventing this? It's happening again. Why? Why are you all so cold? Okay, now this one's sick too. What is happening? This was not an issue before. And he's way down over here too. It seems like for whatever reason he's not leaving this area. Are you literally stuck? Look at him. He's actually... Okay, this is why he's dying. He's literally stuck. Look, buddy, I can't help you if you literally don't know how to use stairs. Like, it's very difficult for me to solve this problem for you. Whatever, I'm sure he's, like, learned his lesson or something, probably. Hey, I'm still really sick of how slow research is. Let's just get myself another research lab. Confirmed, by the way, we had been asking a while ago if more researchers meant a less efficiency, and that is certainly the truth. If I pull back some here, you can see this number actually does go up. So yeah, it's probably got some diminishing returns, so there's probably a maximum number of researchers you can have before it would ever make any sense whatsoever to keep expanding. But it is not this day. 6 researchers surely is a little bit better. I think I'm about to finish processing my gold, by the way. So yeah, this is the last one going in. Okay. And we ended up with about 287 gold bullion now. Oh, that's a lot of wealth. I don't feel bad about it, though. In fact, I feel pretty darn good. I like being filthy wealthy. Filthy stinking rich, I think we call it. Oh, crap. I actually just clicked the wrong button. I accepted a whole bunch more whiskers. Was not planning on that. Oops. All right. That awkward moment when you meant to refuse all and then accidentally said accept all. Ooh, boy. Yeah, I don't want to have to go out there and explain that to them, so I think we'll just have to keep them. Yeah, you know, I'm avoiding conflict. It's fine. It's cowardly. I don't care. Our food is fluctuating way too much right now, though, by the way. Like, way too much. What the heck? Trying to fix that, getting myself some extra berry soup and other processed food, but man, for whatever reason, cooked food is just, it's very slow. It feels way too slow. I don't know. It's tempting to do it anyway because, hey, yeah, you make your food go further, and that is important right now, but I don't know, man. It just feels like we go through it faster than we really ought to. Like, I've got so much fish. I've got 3 overtime smokeries going right now. No one eats until night. Why do I seem to only be able to produce, like, 40 or 50 smoked fish a day? Like, why is that it? Feels like it ought to be more. Oh, man, though, you know I'm getting to the bottom of the barrel in commentary when all I can talk about is smoked fish. Blech. Whatever, it's fine. And by the way, we should now be producing some of our own tea properly. Everything should be grown and getting harvested. So all these delicate little tea leaves are making delicious tea. So we don't have to rely on the motherland to send those resources to me. This ought to be a prerequisite to declaring independence, all right? Here in America, we understand the importance of our tea to our founding fathers. They got real peeved when people started taxing their tea. So becoming independent and making my own tea, that's the ultimate act of rebellion against the cats. There's my tier 3. Okay, so that's finally done. These techs are expensive, by the way. Oh my god. Okay, what do we want, though? What do I actually want? None of these, really, but civic office, More policy slots, yeah. It's not that I'm using all my policy slots, but we could. Soap requires what? Chemists and oil press? Yeah, if we want to start turning fish into oil, we can make soap, but like, I don't really feel like I need to improve the bathing quality, and I don't want to use up my fish to make oil. So that's not useful. Rail booster. Now that might be helpful. Takes steam, but faster trains might solve one of my biggest issues. Spices could be fun. Also requires fertilizer just like the tea, but would reward very good culinary experiences. We then have to grind it down, and we can cook it up in a fine kitchen, which would be used to get savory or hearty or fancy meals. Basically just taking a lot of the other stuff I'm already making, like smoked fish or berry soup or whatever, and then dunking them together to make something really, really good. The berry soup and jam pastries is probably the cheapest and easiest option for me to make this. So yeah, we could theoretically get fancy meals. Not sure it's really worth it though, because again, what does it do? It just gets me approval. Do I need approval that badly? No, not really. Fine tea is an option. Tea and spices together? That's a little bit risky, but okay. And of course, we can build up another blast furnace and get steel, taking my iron ore and coal together to make something a little bit better, which would be used to make precision scales or steel plates or my own machinery. But here's the thing, once again, I don't need any more machinery. We are getting it out the wazoo. I don't know that I need steel plates or precision scales. It would be very helpful if from this menu I could see exactly where that would apply. And then we have steam engines, which I'm pretty sure are used just to power up some of these buildings that I don't even need. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, we get up to tier 3, and then aside from getting some things that could be useful, what do I really care about any of this? The answer is I don't really. I don't really care about any of it. It just exists for the sake of saying, oh, cool, something more advanced. But like, look at this, 27 machinery. Like, this is fine. Why would I ever invest the time in order to start making it myself? Using up bronze and oil and steel. You know how much labor goes into this? For 2 machinery? A ton! There's my rail booster. Alright, we're gonna find out exactly how this sucker works. Definitely requires steam. I assume it only works in one direction. So if I did something like this, for example, that would replace it. And then I have to run some stupid pipes a long distance, so that's gonna suck. Cost me a ton of iron bars to do things like this, too. It's just not very practical on so many levels. Still, I'm pretty sure I just saw that thing explode. Hang on. Let's watch and see just how fast this thing really goes. I'm pretty sure it gets launched way faster. Woo! And it lasts most of the trip or the entire trip. Hard to say. Do we get any? We get some sparks as it turns around here. So I don't know how long the boost actually lasts. It's definitely faster, but if it only goes like, let's say 20 segments, well then who cares? But if it goes a very, very long distance, this could be actually pretty good for me. I've got a bad feeling it doesn't though. I'll bet you that this doesn't actually last very long at all. I'd also love to know if this is actually consuming some of my steam every time it gets used up. Probably, but maybe not. I mean, I'm watching and it doesn't look like my steam amount is going down at all. The reason I ask is these carts are operating day in and day out, even if no one is riding them. So if it starts consuming your steam, then that means it's going to be consuming your fuel too. But so far I don't see any evidence it actually consumes anything. It's just a steam-powered launcher for free. It's good to know, I guess. Kind of cool that it exists, but I don't know. Not quite the upgrade I think that's going to save my game or make this a little bit more bearable from a logistics perspective, but it's not going to hurt. Now, what would be really funny is if it turns out you can go so fast that if there's any sort of a bend in the road, the cars just go flying off. That would remind me of the good old days, games like Roller Coaster Tycoon, and deliberately deleting part of the rail track just as the car's coming through, so it goes flying into the air and careening into all these unsuspecting tourists below. I was a little bit of a sadistic kid, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the only person who did that, though. I know I'm not. Don't lie. If you're old enough that you played those kinds of games, you did it too. Anyway, aside from researching how to start growing our own chili peppers, what else is there to do exactly? What else have I missed? Anything? I'm pretty sure we've got access to pretty much every resource in the game. It's just a matter of How much labor do we want to put into refining the goods? And the answer is not a lot, which is kind of what's leading me to think that this is going to have to just be the end of the series. My personal interest in continuing it has dropped the more I've realized this isn't really going anywhere, and it's not really necessary. Like, it makes a lot more sense if you need these advanced industrial, systems, if you're really struggling to keep up with things like the taxes. But we're not. We haven't been for a while. Sure, as the population grows, as I research more stuff, do I need to start placing down, let's say, more cotton fields? Yes. But that's a technology we've had for a very long time. So, really, the best and most optimal way of playing the game as it stands right now is to stop after research tier 1, more or less. I mean, maybe there's a couple things here in tier 2 that's still pretty good, but for the most part, just stop. Get to a fertile island, do nothing but raise cotton, and you'll basically have all the tax wealth you're ever going to need. There are other things you can do, but it's enough. So low tech, building wide equals infinite game. And that's where I think that something's just off about the end game balance here. If there was something that actually incentivized me to start working on these technologies, either because we can actually overthrow the cats, and I need to start building my own warships to fend them off, or because the tax requirements from the cats goes up fast enough, you have to find ways of doing this. But it's just not profitable. It's not profitable enough for the amount of labor that goes into it. And I am, if anything, an avid capitalist. I look for the greatest return on investment in all things I do, including my own time, and that of my niece. So if you tell me the profit margins ain't gonna be worth it, then guess what? I'm not gonna expand my labor operations. It's just not gonna happen. I'd like to know why I seem unable to get any more iron bars. Let me guess, this thing is full? Yep. Alright, this is why I don't think it's ever worth picking up from a warehouse, by the way. Sounds great, but they'll always choose the nearest source. But if you say, only pick up from this one, they'll be like, well, I guess we literally will never, ever, ever get fuel again. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, logistics could use some work in this game as well. I'm not trying to nitpick. I've said this in so many episodes. I'm not trying to complain. And then everyone's like, oh, but you're definitely complaining. No, I'm just trying to offer insights, feedback. You never know. Devs could watch this stuff. I know Hooded Horse watches this stuff. I mean, these are things that as a so-called professional gamer, I just look at this situation and say, I played so many of these kinds of games, I see where the gameplay loop deviates into less fun territory. Because I like this game quite a lot. I do like it. I think it's charming. I think that it's got all the bones of what I want to see. I think that the theme is pretty good. It just needs an ending, or at least a better incentivization system that's going to get the player to continue growing, rather than saying, hey, you could keep playing, but between planks and cotton, you kind of already peaked, dude. No one wants to feel like their efforts are basically just adding tedium for the sake of tedium. And that's not an enjoyable experience in a game. And for God's sake, make 15 times speed the norm. Even this is starting to feel too slow. Oh, God, and research, too. Yeah, all things that I've harped on, but, jeez, dude, this is so unnecessarily slow. Whatever. There's my red hot chili peppers. Too bad it's winter. But just like the tea, we can place these down over here, make sure they get some fertilizer, and bada boom. Anything else we really care about? No. Therein lies the problem. No, not really. On a positive note, though, I've had a really good time just building out the town itself. The vertical building aspect of this game is actually really quite fun. There's so much flexibility in terms of all of the different rooftops and such, where you can actually just stack things in a really fun way. And sure, you could build Soviet-era apartment complexes that are just an eyesore to look at, and that would suck. But if you're willing to be a little bit janky with it and just start putting all sorts of different types of buildings on top of each other in ways that don't necessarily make sense or aren't very efficient, it sure looks organic and awesome. That's more than I can say about a lot of city builders I played with vertical building mechanics. This one has done it well, very well. Visually pleasing on so many levels, very well polished, very well done. It just needs a few core gameplay loop fixes, and this game is on track to being absolutely phenomenal. But alas, after 276 days, I do think that this is where we are going to end things. That might mean that this video ends up being a little bit shorter than was expected, and I do apologize if that's the case. But hopefully my arguments for why we should put a stop here makes sense. There's no need for this game to overstay its welcome. We've enjoyed it up to this point. It's been quite the treat. Now we're just waiting for the early access to continue, with new features getting added in, new balancing mechanics, and we might just have to come back to this game someday, once it realizes its full potential. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.